Oh, we should have played a song for us. Darn. Next time. All right, how's everyone doing? I think we accidentally let everybody in a minute early, so I'll wait for everybody to trickle in. So I guess, Chris, if you could put the poll on while we're waiting for everyone to trickle in. How's everyone doing? Drop your emojis in the chat, feelings in the chat, emojis. Anybody? We're here for an hour, so let's make it a good time. Awesome. Okay. I will say, how do I feel today? I feel excited. Hard eyes, bright eyes. All right, let's look at the poll questions today. Which do you think has the biggest impact on how others see you professionally? That's number one. Number two, when introducing yourself or presenting your story, what's most challenging for you? And number three, which habit would help you feel more like a champion in school or work right now? All right. I like the answers. And as always, you guys are always kind of like across the board. But number one, where there's a clear winner, how you present yourself in person, posture, tone, dress. So I'm excited. Let's see. I'll keep this open for a little bit and then we can go ahead and start with announcements.
Thanks, Kathleen. Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome to our class tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. And I just wanted to remind you all to please turn on your cameras because remember, no participation would equal to no points. So be sure to inform YC staff Will so she can take note of it into your attendance if you're having camera issues or microphone issues, or even if you're in an important school meeting. Kindly also display your complete name because it will help us track your attendance accurately. And since we're doing breakout rooms tonight, I'm asking our alumni and student leaders to please put alumni or SL before your name so it'll help us tag you accordingly. Thanks, Kathleen.
Of course. All right. So let's open up the slides and then I'm going to share the poll. All right. So this is like the first time I've seen you guys actually kind of be aligned in on a question. So which do you think has the biggest impact on how others see you professionally, how you present yourself in person? Posture, tone, and dress, that was like number one. And definitely speaking clearly and confidently as a person is how you want to introduce yourself or present your story, and that is what's most challenging. So we're definitely going to go over that today. What habit would you feel more like a champion in school or work right now? Practicing your 30-second about me introduction. And we'll definitely have time to be able to do that today. So awesome stuff. Today is business communication. And for this topic, I'm really excited to share it because this isn't necessarily about, I was kind of unsure what the business communication, what this deck was going to entail. This is not about sounding professional. This is about learning different ways and skills to represent yourself well. So if people can't understand you or trust you or quickly see your value, a lot can be missed in that conversation. So business communication is really about learning how to carry yourself, how to write clearly. That's in your emails. If your text, Slack is an online messaging platform for when you start working. If anyone's familiar with that, you can probably use that in your schools too. How to speak with confidence and how to tell your story in a way that can open up doors for you. How you choose to present yourself will directly kind of have an impact in what doors are open and available to you. So that matters in your jobs. It's going to matter into your internships. It's going to matter in your interviews, especially. It matters in school and it matters even in your friendship, your leadership in life. So everything that we're learning through You Champions is applicable across the board. This says business communication, but it's mainly It's just in general communication. How you present yourself in business should be how you kind of present yourself generally as well, just in different facets. So today is very practical, and I want to share a video with you all.
How important is your first impression in the business world? Did you know in the business world, 15 seconds could be the difference between fast-tracking your career or watching it stand still for years? Take a second and imagine you're at a social event and you meet someone for the first time and almost immediately feel an instant connection. You feel like they could be your best friend? Feels pretty good, right? Now imagine the next person you meet almost immediately rubs you the wrong way. Not a good feeling, right? The real question is, have you ever been that person? Where someone meets you for the first time and you immediately rub them the wrong way, but you felt like you had an instant connection with them? This is where perception versus reality starts with yourself. We believe every time we feel a positive connection with someone, we've left a positive impression with that person. However, the fact is that's not true because we've all been on the other side. We've all met someone for the first time, and they rubbed us the wrong way. But because we are taught to be polite, we find ourselves being polite, which makes the person like us even more. All the while, we are trying to figure out a way to get out of the conversation. The second question is, how effective of a communicator are you today? As communication continues to increase via technology such as email, instant messaging, text messaging, social media, and the likes, there is less and less emphasis on learning those critical skills needed to successfully communicate face-to-face in the business world. It is an unfair reality that so many business professionals will find themselves focusing most of their time on the job itself, their career goals, and how to outperform their peers, never realizing they lack the skills needed to create key business relationships on the fly, which is considered the lifeline of business success. The book, First Impressions for the Business Professional, Why Some of Us Excel and Most of Us Fail, provides a comprehensive framework to create a great first impression in virtually any business environment. The ability to walk into a room full of strangers and instantly connect with them is a skill that will help you become more successful in your professional and personal life. These tools and techniques will provide you with a competitive advantage that will set you apart from 99% of your peers. Once you read this book, you will understand why they are some of the best kept secrets in business. This book will teach you how to make yourself memorable in 15 seconds or less, create a conversation without saying a word, keep any conversation flowing with ease, brag about yourself without bragging about yourself, end a conversation effortlessly, build contacts and keep them for life. Become a star in your next interview. Stay a step ahead in any business meeting. Stand out in your next presentation, and much, much more. First impressions for the business.
Awesome. So does anyone want to share with me, probably, or I guess everybody in the chat, drop a word of when you hear business communication, like what do you think that means? Or like, what's a phrase that comes up for you? We'll give you guys like 15, 20 seconds. Yeah, definitely. Hope that, definitely. Oh, awesome. Love that. Networking. You guys have a networking event coming up for you champions, right? So I think this is definitely going to, what we're learning today is going to be applicable for sure. Effort, professionalism, organization, networking, serious. Hope, I think it's so funny. Listen, that's a good one. I really love that one. Awesome. Impressions, communicative. Okay, awesome. Effort. Well, thank you guys. Yeah. So business communication is a facet of so many different aspects, including networking, how you present yourself. There's so many pieces to it. So today is really just like a high level review to kind of give you that exposure. I want to mention a book that I have behind me. I was gifted it by my prior CFO. The book is called The Speed of Trust. And when I opened up this deck, Business Communication, it reminded me of that book so much because one of the biggest takeaways is that trust changes the speed of everything. Interestingly, how you build trust is through your communication and through your impressions towards people, how you network, how you connect. So when you build trust with somebody through the way that you choose to represent yourself, when that trust is high, communication is smoother and people are actually more open to you. Opportunities come to you a lot easier. And when trust is low, everything slows down. Your business can slow down. So imagine if you have like low trust with your boss, perhaps they're not going to give you that project to move on to the next level, right? So when trust is low, everything is lower, efficiency is lower, inefficiency is higher. People are going to second guess you. They're going to want to see proof. They're going to hesitate. So when trust is high, communication is smoother, and you want to build that trust a lot sooner, because if you aren't able to do that, it becomes just a lot more difficult. So as we go through today's class, I want you to remember this. The way you communicate is teaching people whether they can trust you. And by the end of this class, I want you to walk away feeling a little bit more prepared, especially for the networking event, to be able to introduce yourself, send a strong email, and talk about your skills in a way that feels really clear and true to who you are. So business communication isn't just about professionalism. It's not about just saying things correctly. It's about really understanding that your words carry weight and that trust matters in the way that you choose to communicate. Okay, so awesome. Let's go into the next slide. Does somebody want to volunteer and read the last week what we covered for accountability? Just go off mute and go ahead. Go for it. Makai, I think you're the only one, so go for it.
Personal accountability is a key driver of growth, trust, and effective leadership. Building self-awareness and consistently owning our actions leads to meaningful change. And lastly, practicing accountability strengthens reliability, inspires others, and develops strong leadership habits and mindsets.
Yes. So last week we covered accountability is about having the courage to be honest with yourself and own your choices and keep showing up as the person you say you want to be. Because at the end of the day, your life is going to be shaped by the habits, your character, and your willingness to take that responsibility when things do get hard. So by practicing accountability, we are discovering how to strengthen reliability, inspire others, and develop the mindset and habits of effective leaders, which again, builds trust, is all a part of business communication. So all of this ties hand in hand in hand. And honestly, accountability connects perfectly to this next topic of business communication. So with accountability, it's, do you follow through? Do you respond clearly? That's business communication. Do you take responsibility for your words? That's part of communication. Do you communicate with respect? That's accountability in action. So does anyone want to share what they learned last week, perhaps? That they brought into this week, or that's like something that sticks out like a sore thumb that you're definitely going to take with you day to day? Nobody? All right.
I'm sorry,
Well,
can you repeat the question?
does anybody have anything from last week that, that we taught, that we reviewed, that sits with you, that you want to bring to the class today about accountability?
Something that really stuck with me about accountability is how when taking ownership of your mistakes and for the growth that you promise others, it really stuck with me because it really teaches you, like, it grows onto leadership, which I feel like I am put into a lot of leadership roles. So it definitely resonates with me because it encourages me to be a better leader to those around me so that they're more inspired and that they can also hopefully pass on that same drive and lesson of accountability. I hope to be just like mentor or just like image for others to follow.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you say that, and we talked about leaders, we talked about Domino's, the CEO of Domino's kind of just took accountability of saying like, yeah, my pizza does suck. I'm going to do something about it. And then that led to more profit, more revenue. And, Domino's is still around today because of those decisions, choosing to be accountable rather than just saying like, no, it doesn't suck. Let me hide behind this. So yeah, that's a piece of accountability. Thank you so much for sharing. Let's flip to the next slide, please. The learning objectives of today. Does anyone else want to read the 3 bullet points here? Don't be shy.
I can
Yeah, go for it.
learn how professionalism How professional presence, both in person and online, shapes others' perceptions and practice communicating confidence and clarity through posture, tone, pitch, and your digital footprint. Explore best practices for email and text etiquette, including clarity, professionalism, timing, and proofreading to make strong impressions in school and work. Learn to craft effective resumes and cover letters by highlighting skills and experiences, using strong language, and presenting information clearly and professionally.
Thank you so much, Esmeralda. Yes, so first we're going to go over professional presence, how you come across in person and online. Then we're going to go through email and text etiquette because digital communication leaves an impression, whether you like it or not. And third, resumes and cover letters, because how you tell your story professionally, there's a way to tell your story professionally, even if you might not have a lot of experience just yet. So let's definitely, hopefully this lesson is a lot more interactive. Let's skip to the next slide, please. Starting with your professional presence in person and online, you can just click through everything, yeah. Okay, so here's the first big idea. You are always communicating even when you are not talking. I'll repeat that again. You are always communicating even when you're not talking. So one way that I want to share that with you is even if I'm not saying anything, but my hands are crossed or my eyes are closed, like I'm communicating that I don't care, right? I'm not saying anything. So you're always communicating even when you're not talking. Your posture is communicating, your tone is communicating, your energy is communicating, your response time is communicating, your social media is saying something about you, that's communicating. And even when you're not talking, even in silence, you are communicating. So if you see something that you don't appreciate and you don't stand up for it, that is you communicating your stance. So that means you need to be really intentional about how you present yourself in person and on social media, because this shapes how others see you. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so I want to be really clear. Being professional does not mean you're being boring. It does not mean that you have to act like somebody else. It just means learning how to present the best, the clearest, the strongest version of yourself, because first impressions happen fast. Very fast. And research says that people can form an impression from a face in about 1/10 of a second. So even before you showing up to that conversation, you're giving a first impression. Like if you're coming in really fast, coming in really hot, oh my gosh, this person's a lot of energy. I don't know if not everyone's gonna take well to that. So that is not to make you nervous or anxious about making first impressions coming into your networking event, but it is there to remind you that details matter. And knowing that you can be conscious of your posture, you can be conscious of your eye contact, your tone, and your attitude. Those are the things within your control. So you can control whether you look engaged, whether you're smiling, you're attentive, your tone sounds respectful, whether you're listening. You can control whether your face says, I'm excited. And your online presence can also support your goals or not as well. They're also a first impression. Okay, so also LinkedIn student guidance does say and encourage students to build a professional identity. So who has a LinkedIn here? Raise your hand. Yeah? Well, I urge you guys all to start looking into your LinkedIn and start using LinkedIn early, because LinkedIn, as coming from somebody that does work in the creator economy, you can become a creator on LinkedIn as well. It is a social media outlet and there is a professional digital footprint, but there's also a way there where you can monetize. So your 30-second introduction also matters. Because people are always going to ask some version of you, like, who are you? What are you about? Why should I remember you? So here's like a very simple 30-second about me to just kind of write your story, your pitch, who you are, what you care about, and what you're building toward. So your personal pitch is who you are, what do you care about, What are you building toward? And this all is about, what do I want people to know about me? So you want to keep it strong, clear, grounded, memorable, succinct. Yeah. So quick little exercise, because I just noticed myself as well doing this. I was like sitting back. So everybody sit a little bit taller if you're sitting down. Shoulders back. Relax your face. Smile. And then look at the camera. So I don't know about you, but now that I'm looking into the Zoom, I'm seeing people that look like they want to be here. That changes the energy, even if we're on Zoom. Does it not? Like, you're standing up, you're a little bit more awake. Are we feeling a little bit different? So yes, how you stand, your posture, what your face looks like, that matters as just as much as what you actually say. So this is telling me now you're energized, you're engaged, you care, this conversation matters to you. All of that is important. For the 30-second pitch, I would like to share one video. It's quite short, so let's hit it, please.
We'll go over some great elevator pitch examples for students. If you don't know what an elevator pitch is, check out my video, How to Make an Elevator Pitch. To successfully network and advance your career, you need to be adaptable. That's why your pitch will change depending on who you're talking to. Luckily for you, all you need to change is the call to action at the end. The goal of every elevator pitch should be to set up a better time to meet or talk, or to get the contact information for someone directly involved in the hiring process. If you're already speaking with someone involved with hiring, your pitch should open up a constructive conversation. It's then your responsibility to either land an interview or take the next step in the process. Let's run through some common examples of elevator pitches in different situations. Let's start with the classic example. Imagine you're at a career fair speaking with an HR representative or recruiter for a company you'd like to work for. These people are very much involved with the hiring process, so you can be direct. As you'll recall from my video on how to make an elevator pitch, your pitch should be structured like this. Number 1, who you are and what you've been doing lately. Number 2, what makes you unique. Number 3, your goal. And number 4, your call to action. Number 1. My name's Tony Thompson, and I've been a member of the Finance Club at Super Sweet University for 2 years. I'm currently running this year's stock pitch competition. I'm at my best when I need to solve a complex problem by analyzing and focusing on the most important information. I want to land a spot in the Investment Banking Analyst Summer Internship Program at JP Morgan this summer. Here's a copy of my resume. What type of candidate are you looking for? This example is a great way to start off a constructive conversation about yourself and the company. For me, the shorter you can make an elevator pitch, the better. This example is concise, informative, and most importantly, conversational. Now you just have to close on getting an interview. Another common situation is speaking with an employee of a company you'd like to work for. This person can usually put you in contact with someone in HR or a recruiter, but engaging them directly about the hiring process might not be productive. Hi, my name's Andy Anderson, and I'm a senior at Awesome College. I interned at XYZ Marketing Company last year, and I learned a great deal about social media advertising and branding. Over the last 3 months, I've helped the campus coffee shop increase their sales by 20% through my social media marketing campaign. I'm focused on getting the digital marketing analyst position at Amazing Media after I graduate. Here's my card. Who would you recommend I speak with at Amazing Media to learn more about the opportunity? With this approach, they understand who you are, what you're interested in, and that you can produce results. It's unlikely they'll have any reservations about putting you in touch with the right person. At times, you'll find yourself at an event, and during casual conversation, someone will ask you about your career plans. Classic, right? You might not know much about the person. They could be involved in the industry you're looking to break into, or not. Either way, here's a good approach to leverage that situation to advance your interests. My name's Joe Jacobs, and I'm a junior at Really Cool College. Right now, we're learning how to use advanced analytics in the sales process. In our sales competition last month, I was the highest selling student by over 20%, and I used advanced analytics to help achieve that result. My goal is to become a commercial salesperson at Bridgestone after I graduate. Do you know anyone at Bridgestone or in the tire industry that I can connect with? Not everyone will be able to help you, but if they can, hand them your business card so you can get connected. This is the perfect way to turn small talk into a potential career opportunity. Get a business card with your contact information on it. Yes, even if you're a student. It's much easier in informal situations to use that rather than whipping out your resume. Remember to read the situation and be prepared to change your approach if necessary. If your interaction has to be brief, hand them your business.
Okay, awesome. So there were a lot of tips there, and I really do want to hone this in. It's your personal pitch, and everyone should be pretty ready to introduce yourself pretty clearly. It's who you are, what you're doing, and what you're aiming for. So what is your call to action? And I think that part's really important, is like, what are you trying to get from that conversation? You should be very clear about that when you can. Sorry. Okay. All right, let's go back to the slide, please. Okay, awesome. So now you guys have the opportunity to write about your 30-second about me. What do you want others to know about who you are and what you stand for? So I don't want you to overcomplicate this and sound like a robot. It's really, who am I? What do I care about? What kind of person am I? What direction am I moving in? What do I want? Like, what kind of result do I want from this about me? Do you want to land a job? Do you want to meet the CEO? What are you trying to gain from this? All right. So spend a few minutes writing this out, and then we're going to go into breakout rooms after. Thank you. Okay, awesome. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, because we are going to break out into breakout rooms of groups of like 3 or 4. So each person is going to have their 30 seconds to read their about me. And after each person shares one word, write down one word of what you remember from them. One thing that was memorable about their about me. So you'll have 3 or 4 responses, depending on how big your group is, or 2 to 3 responses based off of how big your group is. So let's break out for 3 minutes. Everybody has 30 seconds, and then write down one word or phrase of something that was memorable about what they said. All right, cool. See you guys. Enjoy. And then give an example of how you show that, right? Like, for example, in my classes, I'm always the one to like help out in this way. So you always want to give an example as well, to really like drive in that fact. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, an example is usually in the breakout rooms, because I usually talk and like participate a lot in there.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, does everybody feel like Sam is very outgoing? I'm sure everybody does, because I just felt that energy as well. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. They were having trouble going to the breakout
Thank you.
rooms, so we were kind of doing that right in here. Does any other breakout rooms want to share maybe maybe their about me or what they felt about like the about me's that they heard. Okay, room 12. Oh yeah, Catherine, go for it. Let's start there. Who was in your group?
There was Isabella, David, and Destiny.
Awesome.
Would you like me to share my about me first?
Yeah,
And then
of course.
so, hi everyone, my name is Catherine Mixup, and I'm a junior accounting major at CSULB. I'm currently involved in the marketing and fundraising committee for Association of Latino Professionals for America, as well as being a pledge candidate for Beta Alpha Psi and Accounting Society, which shows my passion for business. I'm known for my dedication and creativity, and I'm currently looking for an accounting internship. And the other two weren't able to say their answers, but Isabella shared how she loves animals and wants to be an educator. And I further asked her about if she had a passion for veterinary science, but she does say that she volunteers at an animal shelter in her free time, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. Don't you love how when you hear somebody's about me really quickly, you can learn their interest and exactly what that person wants you to know about them? So I think that's really cool. Catherine, what was your call to action? You want an internship?
Yes.
How did you, what was your last sentence again?
I am known for my dedication and creativity, and I'm currently looking for an accounting internship.
I would just be more specific, right? You're looking for an accounting internship. So like ask about like, depending on what room you're in, if you're in like you're in Deloitte, which you're in a Deloitte room, you're in PwC room, you're in one of these rooms. Hey, like I'd like to know like who I can discuss this with because I want to apply for the internship today. This quarter, you know, like really put the timeline on it and like that call to action. So they call this BAM fam in sales, book a meeting from a meeting. Sales, when you're able to book a meeting from a meeting, you're more likely going to close that deal because you already put it on someone's calendar. And that like sense of urgency is important for people because it feels like you're committed, you know what you're doing. So book a meeting from a meeting, like put it on their calendar right now. I have the issue where like I'll collect cards. I'll give my card, I'll collect a card, they'll scan my LinkedIn, I'll scan their LinkedIn, and then I don't do anything with it. But if you like, oh, hey, I'm going to call you tomorrow for 15 minutes. Is that going to be okay? Would you be fine with that? Oh, next week works? That's great too. Book a meeting from a meeting right away is like creating that sense of urgency and hopefully like you'll be closer to that internship. Yeah. Cool. Does anybody else want to share what their group discussed and maybe they're about me? Nobody? Okay. No worries. I'm not going to put you guys on the spot. But going once, going twice. Anybody feel comfortable? Okay. No worries here. Your about me is really supposed to share your personality and your values really clearly so people are aware of what you want to show them, what you want people to know about you. And also just remember, communication is not just in the words that you say. It's also about the feeling that people walk away when they talk to you. So for example, Catherine, for me, I felt like we're not even in face to face, right? Like we're on Zoom. And I felt like she really knew what she wanted. She wrote out very clearly. She said very clearly, this is what I want. So I was like, oh, okay. This girl knows what she wants. Like that's how I felt leaving that conversation. So thank you for that. Let's go into the next slide, please. All right. So first we talked about our professional presence, and now we're going to talk about email and etiquette. So let me say this pretty clearly. A sloppy message can make a strong person look unprepared. So on the flip side, a clear and respectful message can make a young person look very mature quite quickly. So let's read this slide. Always use a greeting. Good morning, good afternoon, even a hello or welcome. So always use a greeting, be clear and concise, proofread before sending, know when to text versus an email, and follow up respectfully. I think a lot of this has to do with, it's definitely more business communication. Digital communication is often the first and the lasting impression you make in the workplace. So your professional tone, your clarity, and the respect can go a long way. Even for me, as I'm interviewing candidates for job positions, I am looking at, hey, if they really want the job, they're going to follow up. So when they follow up, what are they going to say? Are they going to remember something about our conversation to show that they care? So I look at those things because there's a pool of candidates that are, yes, the thank you email for sure. I really care about that thank you email because it shows to me that you want the job. Because there's pull of candidates. And even most recently, I believe we had like 300 candidates apply for a job. That's how much competition there is, right? For one role. And my HR person went through the candidates and sent me the next stack that I should review. Well, there was somebody that kept reaching out to me on LinkedIn. And I actually sat down with that person today. And now that person is going to be sitting down with my HR because they could have been overlooked through their resume. But the way that they persistently communicated with me and tried to get a meeting with me, showed up to that meeting, was prepared for that meeting, that said a lot more than maybe the first time around their resume was overlooked. Okay. So I do want to be clear that even a lot of adults aren't good at this email and text etiquette. I don't know about you, if your parents are texting really well and emailing really well. My dad just sends me an email, print this. So, you guys can be in a better position by knowing this information. First, use that greeting, not yo, not hey, not just launching into the ask. You don't want to go straight into the, hey, I need a favor, print this. So career and advising guidance consistently say to start with a polite greeting using the person's name, their title, briefly introduce yourself if that you need to, use the correct grammar, and close your email or your text professionally. Email is obviously more formal than a chat. Proofread, because tiny mistakes can create a big impression, and impressions do matter. Email is for school, for opportunities, applications, teachers, supervisors, anything more formal. Text is better for short, simple, time-sensitive updates. So how I use it is like email is like, hey, could you please approve this? Hi, CEO of the company, could you please approve this because blah, 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 blah. He's not responding. It's urgent. I send a text like, hey, I'm not sure if you saw my email, but here's a brief message. Could you please approve? So there's definitely different versions of how you can send an email like, hey, I missed a class. What did I miss? Can you help me? Or, hello, Miss Teacher. I hope you're doing well. I was absent from class today and I wanted to ask what I missed and what I should complete before the next class. Thank you for the time. Signed, your name. One sounds same person, same need, but completely a different impression. And if you hear the difference, it sounds a little bit more rushed and careless, whereas the other is a lot more respectful and prepared. So, okay. Let's skip to the next slide, please. We're in another workbook question. So take about 9, or actually can somebody else read this one for me? Danny, could you please read this? Oh, he's unavailable. Can anybody read this workbook question today? Feel free to just get off mute.
Write a short professional email to a supervisor or teacher requesting a meeting or clarification. Then review it for tone, grammar, and clarity.
Thank you so much, Aaron. So as you write, use the structure. Don't forget the greeting, who you are if you need to, why you're reaching out, your question or your request, your thank you, your closer. So sign off with your name, and then also proofread, proofread, proofread. So you guys have 90 seconds. Awesome. So I think just when you're thinking through your professional email to a supervisor or to teacher, most likely, did you guys choose a supervisor or teacher? Drop it in the chat. Awesome. Well, I'm sure that your teachers are going to appreciate a well-written email. And as a reminder, because this might, depending on how large your class is, when you're in college, like classes can be quite large, these emails are going to give an impression of who you are. So structuring that in a way that, you know, there's a difference like, hey, I missed class, what did I miss? Versus, hey, hello, Miss so-and-so or Professor so-and-so or Mr. The greeting, who you are in case it's not clear, why you're reaching out, what your question or your request is, signing off with a thank you, and closing it with your name. All of these things are very important because it's going to leave a lasting impression. So hopefully everybody here can, you know, right-click proofread. It's quite simple to be able to use the tools that are already given to us. Let me check the chat really quick. We're going to skip the breakout room today. And then lastly, I also want to say, how does the tone of your email affect how the recipient might perceive you? Think about that. What changes could you make to ensure that your message is more clear? And how can you ensure that somebody is going to respond to it a lot more easily? One thing, being in my role, it's a very customer facing focused. And so in the last company I worked for, we had an offshore team out in India writing up emails, and they would send CEOs of companies a long laundry list of things that they needed to do. And they'd wonder, like, why am I not getting a response? It'd be like, hey, what is this? Not only was it not structured well and easy to follow, but also it was a laundry list about like 20, 30 things in one email. That sounds like it's a call for me. Like that sounds like a meeting. And to put that all into an email, what would a CEO, somebody that's super busy feel like when they open that up? That feels like homework, like something I'm not going to respond to. So thinking about how your emails, like if somebody else was to receive that, how would they feel receiving that sort of email? Okay, cool. Let's skip to the next slide, please. This is the next one, resumes and cover letters, telling your story professionally. So your resume is a snapshot, not a novel. One page, clean layout and clear sections. Action verbs make you stand out. tailor for every opportunity. So if you are wanting to do become a photographer versus becoming an accountant, but both you want to do, depending on what you're going after, tailor it for that specific opportunity. For me personally, if I want to do accounting or finance, I have 2 different resumes for both. Even if it sounds like it's on the same lane, it's not. And I try to tweak it so that my results are more clear per the opportunity that I want. Tell a story in your cover letter. Try to stand out here. And then proofread and format this professionally. There's a lot of templates and things that you can find online and resources like ChatGPT, Claude, etc., that can help you tailor your resume. And there are also like AI tools that can read out keywords when you submit your resumes. So kind of be on the lookout of like, how can you stand out against a ton of applicants? Like I mentioned before, how somebody stood out to me and didn't stand out in the resume submission was by reaching out to me personally on LinkedIn. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit more. A resume is not your whole life story. It is a snapshot. It's like the highlight reel with proof. So your resume and your cover letter are your marketing tools. They show who you are, what you've done, and why you're worth hiring. Has everyone written a resume here or a cover letter? Yeah. How did that feel, like writing up your first one? Like, where do I start? Does anyone want to share about like writing up their resume? Yes, Catherine?
I remember having to write my resume when going to like an accounting event in my club. It's like Meet the Firms. They had like a workshop, so I wasn't all by myself, luckily. But I just remember I'm really wordy and I like to make things like really detailed and long, but for resumes, I feel like you have to be really concise. And I think I struggled with that a bit. And I just remember thinking about how everything I did in my life, and I was wondering like, is that all I did or is there more? And it's really daunting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would honestly, one area that I would say, like when you start working and stuff, I try to like write out all of my key accomplishments in a document that I'm going to save in my personal drive so that I have that like forever. But what you can't do is like pull all of those things together and try to like make it more succinct. Like what is the thread that ties all of this stuff together? Is it efficiency? Okay, like now you can say the one that you want to really call out in your resume, but then on your interview, when you lock in your interview, now you have all of these examples already. Yeah, let me read in the chat. Okay. So AI, yes. I mean, I still use that too. Like I was like, hey, how can you make the sentence a little bit more structured? And then I like that. David, you had a mock interview project last year, so your teachers really got. How was your experience with that, David? What did you like? What did you learn from that mock interview project? David, where are you? Awesome. Yeah, I love that. So your resume again is a snapshot. It's not a novel. Be really careful about what you choose to like write in there and keep it clean and clear. So a lot of students might think, I don't know if this is how you felt, but I think the first time I wrote my resume out, I didn't have a whole lot of experience and I was kind of worried. I'm like, how am I going to write a resume? And I do want to challenge that because experience is not just a formal job. So experience can be your school clubs. It could be the sports that you're involved in. It could be babysitting. It could be helping at church, volunteering, family responsibilities, helping in a family business, organizing an event, tutoring, content creation, community involvement. All of that can show your responsibility. It could show leadership skills, your communication style, your time management, your problem solving, and your initiative. Okay. So just because maybe you haven't had a formal job, there's a lot of things that you can pull experience from and results from that you can highlight in your resume. So that means your job is like not to pretend that you have a huge career already. It just means to name your skills well and back them up with examples. So Catherine, you have so many examples. Well, what's your strongest example? What's that thread? And then now you have more examples when you actually talk about it in your interview. So you're not just talking about the ones that you already listed on your resume. They already read that. So another big tip, use strong action verbs. So instead of help with the club stuff, organized weekly club meetings and coordinated volunteer signups. It's very like people really like to see the numbers and like the results. So instead of babysat kids, I manage schedules, meals, and homework support for 3 children. Instead of was on the team, I contributed to the team communication, practice preparation, and peer accountability as a varsity athlete. There's ways that you can change the tone of your resume from vague to value. So action verb, what you did, results or your impact. I would probably say just put everything into like a Google sheet and figure out like, okay, how am I going to tie this story together? What's going to make the most sense? Yes, qualifying your actions is really good. Yes, for sure. You want to definitely say what was the result, what was the impact of what you did, and using strong action verbs. And for your cover letter, thinking about this opportunity, what you bring, 1 or 2 clear examples of why you care. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions on resumes and cover letters? Okay. So let's flip on to the next slide. And this is another workbook question. So think about one job, internship, or opportunity you'd like to apply for. What skills, experiences, or personal qualities would you highlight to stand out? Tying that back in, tying that back into the about me section. When you're thinking about the job, the interview, the opportunity, think about that one thing and then the qualities and skills, like jot down all the qualities and skills underneath it, and then the proof for each one, like what was the result, what qualify what you did. And then that can really help with your about me as well. Your about me wants to be, you want to tailor your about me to the person that you're discussing this with, because every single industry is different. Whether you want to be a photographer in one conversation and an accountant in another conversation, or a yoga teacher and an accountant. They're all going to be different. All right, let's go into the next slide, please. For the next class, we are going to be exploring our natural strengths through Kolbe, learn about the Kolbe Index, and discover how to use these strengths or action modes, and then emphasizing collaboration across different action modes for success in school, relationships, and careers. Next slide, please. 90-second workbook time, so it takes 90 seconds to finish as we go through the rest of our announcements. And please complete your survey as well. Thank you. And on to announcements. But first off, thank you guys so much for showing up, for participating and putting yourselves out there today, going into breakout rooms. Communication is definitely a skill that gets stronger with practice. And thank you for sure to the YC staff, students, alumni, all of you guys make these classes so awesome. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys every week. So with that being said, workbook and survey form closes Friday, 5 p.m. Don't miss your points. The link is going to be in the chat box. 2 Ignite speakers, 1 Powerful Night. That is going to be on April 6th. RSVP deadline is April 3rd. They will talk about the importance of emotional intelligence, discipline, and growing self-confidence. They'll share their own stories to highlight what strength really looks like and how it all starts with the mindset. It will be with 2 inspiring speakers, Emily Hayden and Austin Cole Curry. So please join that. That's going to be an amazing experience. There's going to be a field trip networking event. This was last year. This is actually how I got involved with YC, because I met you guys in person and really enjoyed it. This will be on April 12th. RSVP deadline will be April 3rd. RSVP link is going to be in the chat box. At the networking event, you'll practice connecting with 6+ professionals in small groups, learn how to start conversations, your elevator pitch, your about me, your resumes, come bring them. And you're going to be doing live demos, mini sessions on networking and communication, and then use connection cards to follow up with those people that you get to meet. And then interest form for program 2026 to 2027. Fill out your interest form. You'll stay in the loop and get the latest updates about youth champions. And please note that this form is just to show your interest for now. It's not the official application. So thank you for joining us on this journey. And if you have friends who might be interested in joining, feel free to share the interest form with them. And the link is in the chat box. It will be open until the first week of August 2026. We'd love to connect with more people who want to be a part of YC. So thank you guys so much for your time. Appreciate you all. I hope you have a lovely, lovely evening. Drop in the chat how you're feeling. Thank you so much for being here.
Have a nice night.